Welcome to White Sands, a park with a surprising amount of history for a national park that's only been a national park since 2019. So stick around for a look into what makes this one of the most unique national parks in the country. We'll check out the best spots while we almost get stuck in the dunes, literally.
Normally this is a 3-hour, 5-mile long trail, but to make it back in time, gonna have to squeeze into 2.
And even blow things up and go to space. It's all par for the course in a documentary about White Sands, so put on those nuclear blinders and let's dig in. Located between the cities of Alamogordo to the east and Las Cruces to the west, and about 90 minutes north of El Paso, White Sands is a beautiful park surrounded by the San Andreas and Sacramento Mountains that offer stunning views of rolling white dunes, interesting plants and wildlife, and is fairly accessible. Here, we are hiking into the Interdune Boardwalk Trail, a short little 0.4-mile boardwalk into the dunes that gives you some great views and a little flavoring of the park, as well as some great places for a picnic if the winds aren't too bad, which today they were. You have the ability to camp backcountry if you get a permit from the park office, but the 16-mile round-trip road into the park is small, so it's a park that can be seen in a day or 2 days leisurely. And with out-of-this-world views all around, it gives plenty of reason to come back. Speaking of out-of-this-world views, let's talk about this park's eclectic history before jumping into the best hike at the park. Let's go back, way back to 1870, when researchers began publishing about this place and putting it on the proverbial map. Businesses came and saw dollar signs, but it turns out there wasn't a whole lot of money to be made with White Sands. So after some local pushes, it became a national monument by then President Hoover in 1933.
By presidential decree, I now declare this a national monument.
Or something. I don't really know what he sounds like, but that might have been what he said. Fast forward 10 years later, and things get a bit more interesting.
In this unique American Sahara, automobiles replace the camel as ships of the desert. Quite a change from olden times.
Yeah, the olden times were different. And weird in this National Archive footage I found. But this is when the White Sands story really takes a turn.
Our story begins a few miles from the White Sands Proving Ground in New Mexico.
In 1942, shortly after Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt created a 1.2 million acre gunnery range adjacent to the park.
Of certain bases that are of vital importance to the ending of the war and to the prevention in the future of any similar attack.
Soldiers trained even at the park itself. Then things go from interesting to explosive. In 1945, during the height of World War II, the park begins to shut down for missile testing in the area.
The missile age is here. A new and grim challenge to the free world. A challenge to our very survival. We must keep ahead of communist efforts to dominate the world.
Not just any missiles, but the atom bomb.
At White Sands, the Army displays its missile arsenal and gives the first demonstration of the Nike Hercules, successor to the anti-aircraft Nike Ajax that now rings the nation's key cities. With a more reliable solid fuel system, Hercules can carry an atomic warhead. In 2 minutes, it smashes a target 55 miles off.
When testing, the park literally shuts down, something that happens up to this day, believe it or not. White Sands also had some otherworldly testing, being home to NASA's White Sands testing facilities, where it tests rockets and propulsion systems that have been used on space flights from the Space Shuttle program to the space station and beyond. Basically, the United States loves to blow things up around here. Fast forward to 2019, the park finally gets upgraded by then President Trump into a national park.
When they gaze upon Yosemite's towering sequoias, their love of country grows stronger, and they know that every American has truly a duty to preserve this wondrous inheritance. And that's what they're doing, and that's what we're doing. We're preserving an incredible inheritance.
Now, let's go back to the future. Let's start with the basics. Like why White Sands is called White Sands National Park.
The reason it's called White Sands is because there was a nuclear explosion here that turned all the yellow sand white.
Well, no, not that.
It's because the sand is actually just white.
White Sands is the largest collection of gypsum sand in the world. This is what gives it that unique white sand look, and different from other dunes that are more yellow or red. This park is home to over 4.5 billion tons of gypsum sand, with dunes as high as 60 feet tall. It covers an area about half the park's 275 square miles, making it even visible from space, which we could thank the research from the White Sands for that little fact. With that out of the way, let's go explore this together by checking out the park's biggest trail, the Alakali Flat Trail, that, despite its name, is anything but flat.
All right, we are about to hike the longest trail in that park right now, the Alakali Flats. It is super windy out today, but we should be able to capture sunset from this trail, and we're really excited for that. So I probably won't be able to capture most of me talking during this because of the wind, but we'll see how it is. So let's get going.
This trail takes you 4.7 miles out to the edge of the park near the Holloman Air Force Base and back. We set off as a storm was rolling in, but figured we had a good few hours before sunset, so we should be fine. Only we made a pretty grave mistake.
So we totally misjudged the sunset. We're at Central Time. I forgot that we switched to Mountain Time. We have an hour less time to get back.
You see, earlier that day, we were in Big Bend National Park, another video you can check out here. But that park is in Central Time, and it's where we got the sunset timing information from. But we didn't account for that time change, and we didn't realize our error until we were about halfway done with the trail, and way off pace to make it back before dark.
Normally this is a 3-hour and 5-mile long trail, but to make it back in time, gonna have to squeeze into 2.
Stressful, sure, but for now, let's focus on climbing the trail and up the sand dunes to go check out this amazing hike.
Currently at a windbreak, there's a dune on our left side we just started. We are completely buffeted by winds at all times. It's almost similar to like snow blindness, if you're familiar with that, because the sand is so white. If you do look into the distance, sometimes even hard to discern where the sand ends and the sky begins, especially this overcast day. So hopefully we don't get too lost. They do have markers similar. That was actually kind of look like ski pylons too, which is kind of what they might get out here. Maybe we do some dune sledding.
These poles are a lifesaver on this trail, and part of the reason for their bright color is that you could, hypothetically, see the reflection at night. Of course, with an approaching storm, we would get no such moonlight, and despite all these warnings at the entrance of the park, we had no flashlights either. Combine that with the excessive wind-blowing sand, and it can get quite disorienting at night. Of course, we didn't realize that till later in our hike, so let's carry on.
So this trail might be called the Alakali Flats, but I'll tell you, it's anything but flat. We're constantly going up and down dunes, like just basically going from mile marker to mile marker so that we actually know that we're in the right path. Some of these dunes are tough. They can sink your shoes in pretty deep, but really fun to run down.
Super fun because it feels like what I imagine running on the moon would feel like.
All right, let's run down one of these. Woo! Woohoo!
And the trail continues like this, going from one trail marker, recalibrating yourself, and running up the dune to the next one, making sure that despite the wind, you keep at least one marker in eyesight along the way.
This wind is insane. I'm standing right next to Charlie and I can't hear him. I don't even know if you can hear this right now, but if you can, the wind is intense. It is actually not that cold. I need to wear a sweatshirt or else this would hurt like hell.
So we begin to approach the halfway part of the trail. The dunes begin to flatten out, taking you out of that out-of-world feeling and realizing once again you are in a military zone.
Well, we have reached the end of the dunes, and now we are walking towards the wide open spaces towards a missile launch area. Sorry, you can actually see the missile area from here at the very edge of that Alakali Flats trail. Luckily, they're not testing anything right now, so we're going to keep hustling because it is getting late, and I'm going to misjudge when the sunset was, so let's get hustling.
It was here, after noticing the sky a little darker than hoped, about 2.5 miles back from the start of the trail, no cell phone service, and not dressed for cold, that we realized we misjudged the time. So we began to really hustle back, running on what felt like a foreign planet to make it back before dusk.
I know, it's absurd that I'm running while videotaping.
Running on a sand dune with low visibility with a shoe that felt like it had a ton of sand in it sucks. But hey, I'm the narrator, so it must mean we made it.
All right, you're gonna make it. We see people on the other side sledding. Probably not gonna be able to get the sledding ourselves tonight, but we see it, which means that we're gonna make it out in time. Awesome. Again, reminder, make sure you check Mountain Time sunset before heading out on a 5-mile long hike.
We just got back. I think I probably have about 3 pounds of sand in my shoe.
Since we have a little bit of extra time and we're hitting the sunset right now.
Ready for one big slide.
Well, I should say it was a big slide attempt.
All right, that first try didn't work. Were you filming?
Second attempt success. Kinda, I guess.
Well, this has been the White Sands National Park. We'll see you later.
But before we leave, I want to give a quick shout out to another national monument right down the road towards Las Cruces, the Oregon Mountains. We visited this a day after White Sands, and despite being in southern New Mexico, actually had morning snow on the peaks, creating some mighty winds at the top of the trails.
It's the windiest day yet! We're on top of the Oregon Mountains! Let's go!
These beautiful mountain ranges are the perfect place to camp or for more challenging, less crowded hikes than White Sands National Park. And remember, even White Sands was a national monument before getting upgraded, so don't skip this amazing detour. Well, I've told you all I could about this stunning national park. Park that transports you out of this world, sometimes literally. A place as rich a history as it has ecological diversity. Now it's your turn to add your own bit of history to this bright dune tundra and check out White Sands National Park for yourself. We'll see you at your next adventure.
Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the adventure and it inspires you to take some of your own. If you want more, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and check out some more from my channel. Thanks.